Welcome back. If you've just joined us, you're watching Channels Television, celebrating 21 years of professional broadcasting. This is the news at 10, a reminder of our major stories. Former President Chief Olusegun Obasanjo raises concern about the state of political parties in Nigeria. Chief of Air Staff says the military will not relent until Nigeria's northeast and Niger Delta regions are declared safe. Gunmen kidnapped 14 local oil workers in the Niger Delta. Police say they're trying to rescue the victims. And the US and China formally joined the Paris Global Agreement to tackle climate change. But do remember that all our top stories can be found on our website, channelstv.com, and on youtube.com/channelsweb. Log on to m.channelstv.com to view us live on your mobile device. You can also download the Channels TV app for Android, iOS and Windows phones from their respective stores. Besides the news and updates, the Channels TV app has an Eyewitness feature. We encourage you to use it to share those pictures, videos or news of happenings around you. Just install the app, then tap and swipe to reveal the Eyewitness menu and follow the instructions. Now to some of the pictures you sent into our Eyewitness portal. First is this one from Umuahia, the Abia State capital, showing an illegal refuse dump. Our Eyewitness reporter wants concerned authorities to look into this. It's followed by this one from Ilorin Kaba Highway. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking necessary personnel to evacuate this broken down vehicle to avoid road obstruction. And we got this picture from Ikorodu area of Lagos State. Our Eyewitness reporter is appealing to bank authorities to alleviate the suffering endured by their customers at the automated teller machines. Still in Lagos, this picture was sent in from Mabinuri area of Isheri North. Our Eyewitness reporter wants the government to pay some attention to the inner roads that are in bad shape. Finally, is this one from Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. Our Eyewitness reporter is asking those concerned to make tidy the road median. I would like to thank all of you who sent in those pictures and encourage you to keep them coming. Abuja residents who look forward to having a functional railway line as an alternative means of transportation within the city next year may have to wait a little longer. This is because the Abuja Light Rail project is at the mercy of suspected vandals. A tour of the facility shows that communication cables buried along the rail tracks are being destroyed by the suspected vandals. Our correspondent Ibrahim Adra reports.
Nigerians are in urgent need of the railways as an alternative means of transportation. And so, when the Abuja-Kaduna rail service took off, they welcome it with joy.
Project Abuja-Kaduna by somebody. Thank you very much.
It excited the FCT administration and spurred it to complete its own light rail system. Target date, December 2017. However, there is a challenge.
Cables are being vandalized. You will be surprised also to know that even the new Abuja light rail system under construction has been faced with vandalization. 2 weeks ago, vandals dug out cables and cut them off. So this is something that government alone cannot do, because we have deployed members of the civil defense along the tracks. We deploy them in the city, but citizens also have to be conscious of that.
The cables were to serve as tools for communication across the trains and various stations. But 15 meters of the fiber cable were removed by unknown persons. It has, however, been replaced. Valentine Obumea is the technical head of supervisory team. He declined to speak on camera, saying he does not have clearance to do so. The project is yet to be handed over to the client, the FCT administration, and December 2017 seems a long time from now. Residents of the Capital Territory are worried over the development.
I'm just very surprised seeing a group of persons here, this same place that were being, I think, walk black and white together, meaning they are getting to the next level. But me, I'm surprised to hear this same story that vandalization has been taking place.
Raphael, like many citizens of Abuja, are looking forward to the completion of this over 35-kilometer stretch of rail line that would make the Abuja light rail system a reality. However, they are worried that damaged cables, like has been perpetrated here, could set the project back. The first phase of the project, which is said to be about 70% completed, will link the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport with Abuja City Center. To achieve this goal and on time, the project must be secured. Ibrahim Adra, Channels Television News.
Now to tackle vandals and other criminals in the Federal Capital Territory, the FCT Commissioner of Police is seeking a synergy between the police and the residents. Mr. Mohammed Mustafa, who met with some of the residents under the aegis of the eminent People's Forum, explained that his target is to involve the community in the task of providing security in the FCT. Well, in view of the federal government's drive to diversify Nigeria's economy, tourism presents a potential revenue earner. Attention may have to be given to the Nigeria Tourism Development Master Plan, which was initiated by the federal government in conjunction with the United Nations World Tourism Organization in January 2006. Our correspondent, Eni Thompson, highlights this program and the plans of the present administration for the industry.
Using the Nigeria Tourism Development Master Plan, the analysis of economic impact of tourism shows that the activities of international tourists have a direct impact estimated at about 36 billion naira. This is supposed to generate additional gross revenue of 29 billion naira. The report also estimates revenue from travel within the country by employees of the federal government alone to generate about 8.8 billion naira from transport and hospitality. Juicy outlook, which may have redirected the focus of the present administration to the plan, although it was initiated 10 years ago.
We must not only embark on the implementation of that master plan, but because we also realize that many things have changed between then and today. That is why one of the first agreements at the meeting with the UN is to revisit the master plan and retouch it where necessary.
Retouching it would demand facing the realities of today. One of such is the impact of insecurity in the country, especially the northeastern region.
We want to work on these psychological issues of fear of the terrorism and insurgency that is happening around us. So we are investing in a lot of media campaign first to change people's belief about the fact that we are living in a dangerous zone.
Changing perception for the Minister of Tourism should begin with getting the locals engaged and interested in the project.
All tourism sites are located within communities. Most of those sites have been there before the people existed. So the people have taken proprietary rights over them.
The federal government has also promised to boost domestic tourism across the country by organizing events in areas with huge tourism potential. Eni Thompson reporting for Channels Television News.
Well, joining me now on the news at 10 is a travel expert, Ikechi Uko. He's going to be talking more about developing tourism. A good evening to you. Thank you so much for joining me on the news at 10.
Thank you, Harriet, for having me.
An interesting report, especially as we're looking at a very potential revenue earner for Nigeria. But then That's industry, like every other, is bedeviled with security challenges as well as infrastructure challenges. But Nigeria is not the only country that is grappling with these particular challenges. What do you think why do you think the tourism industry's growth is being stifled?
First of all, I need to clear a false perception that security infrastructure is a major challenge to tourism. I've done a correlation in the past between security and tourism growth, and it doesn't exactly show what people think. The most violent region in the world is in Africa, is Middle East. And Middle East draws more tourists than Africa. So that's perception that you can override. There are more crimes per 1,000 people in France than in any country in Africa. But France gets more tourists than the whole of Africa put together. They get close to 80 million. So that is perception. And infrastructure, yes, we have that problem. But if you check the best attractions in Africa, some of the roads are not well done.
Well, some would argue with you that, some of those countries that you've actually mentioned in times past have actually seen their tourism, growth actually depreciating when they had major attacks, for instance, in Egypt and in Kenya. But along the line, something or the other, somehow or the other, they managed to rebuild themselves and get back on track. So how can the government begin to look at rebuilding trust in, this particular industry for the kind of people we're trying to attract to our tourism sites to come back?
We've never really had real tourists come here. Our tourism, unfortunately for us, the whites didn't stay here long enough to build a tourism industry. The tourism industry in South Africa is built by Europeans, in Kenya by Europeans, in Gambia. Here we try to create our own, and it actually became a tourism industry when Obasanjo became president, created a ministry and tried to do the national master plan. So here we have never really had it to say we lost it. The only place we lost was in Kano Doba, was built into a product between 1998 and 2000 by a biggest tour operator we had then, Test Travel. She actually was at the point of bringing close to 2,000 tourists from all over the world. Then the Sharia riots started and they fled. So that we could say we are trying to rebuild. We've never really had it. And part of the problems in answering your first question about what has stifled tourism is that we have never had right people having to run tourism, because we've never had people who knew tourism.
But Ikechi, you listened to that report just before we came to this conversation, and the Minister of Information and Culture talked about the master plan. It was launched 10 years ago. So it's about reviving the beauty spots to boost tourism. What part of the master plan do you think needs to be retouched? Because the minister actually, alluded to it. So as a travel expert, for you, if you were to advise, what parts of the master plan needs to be retouched now?
I was in Aso Rock the day the President Obasanjo introduced the tourism master plan. I raised my hand to complain that it was faulty, but he shouted me down. And the reason is that we built it based on the premise of European tourists coming to Nigeria. And we had a visa policy of reciprocity. So if you had a policy of reciprocity that says we do to you what you do to us, and you're building your master plan based on European tourists, it was never going to work. But there are examples in Africa that we could borrow. South Africa has the most resilient tourism because it depends a lot more on Africa. Nigeria and Angola spends more money than the European tourists. Kenya had their first positive turn last year because of an increase from Nigeria and some other African countries. So we built our master plan on a wrong premise. That's one. The second thing was the clusters were bad and we are rejected by the stakeholders. So it didn't work, it couldn't work, and we used the wrong model. We brought UNWTO to build the master plan, and we are going back to them. They gave us a failed product. I don't think we should go back to them to revive the master plan.
Ikechi, thank you so much for coming on the News at 10.
Thank you.
We're still ahead on the News at 10. Business owners challenged to employ more creative ways to achieve growth in a difficult economic period. That's on Business News. Join us again.